The school bell rang, signaling the end of classes. The children began to head home. But Taidy chose to sit quietly under a pink trumpet tree. She opened a small blue notebook, a notebook she believed that if she wrote everything down, the world would be a little safer. Today, Molly told the truth, but teacher Arun didn't believe her. The pencil moved slowly, following the girl's thoughts, tiny letters arranged like a thin wall that she built to protect her heart. Unbeknownst to her, that wall might be blinding her own eyes. If we write it down, we won't forget. Then we won't be deceived. Molly sat down beside her with a faint smile. Her friend's question sounded soft, but it resonated loudly in Taidy's heart. Because sometimes what we think is protecting ourselves might be making us distrust the world too much. You're writing it down again, Taidy. Well, just in case it's important one day. Or are you being too afraid? The library was so quiet you could hear the pages turning. Uncle Pan arranged the books one by one, unhurriedly. For him, silence wasn't emptiness. Rather, it was a resting place for countless stories. Some of the books look old, but the insides are still good. Tidy's question lingered in the air. Uncle Pan simply offered a faint smile, saying nothing. Some answers aren't found in words, but in the moments we give to each other. Tidy, aren't people the same? Uncle Pan, silence. Tidy bent down to write in her blue notebook. The silence around her allowed her thoughts to grow louder. Without explanation, imagination began to take over from reality, and a tiny seed of suspicion was silently planted in her heart. Tidy murmurs, Uncle Pan comes home late every day. Tidy, there must be a reason. The new day hadn't even fully begun, but small pieces of paper were already plastered all over the school bulletin board. A few words, yet the sound echoed across the field. Rumors don't need legs, but they travel faster than any child. One child, they say Uncle Pan is acting strangely. Another child, apparently someone wrote about it too. The children were called together in the middle of the field. The hushed chatter gradually quieted down. Taidy clenched her fists. Her heart pounded, as if it were about to reveal her secret. Teacher Arun, I want to talk to you about something. Teacher Arun, about words that have no owner. That sentence wasn't shouted, but it was loud enough to deeply affect a young girl. Taidy stood still. It was as if every gaze was reading her. Yet no one knew that those words stemmed from a small fear in her own heart. Teacher Arun, speaking without knowing the facts is hurting others. The area behind the school building was quieter than expected. No laughter, no stares from others, just two friends left, and the question that was about to be asked. Molly, Taidy, come here. Taidy, what is it? The piece of paper wasn't large, yet it felt heavier than an entire notebook. The letters were slightly slanted, the way Taidy was familiar. Her heart began to question before her mouth could answer. Molly, this handwriting, is it yours? The question wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to pierce the heart, like a tiny needle, making Taidy realize for the first time that the blue notebook might not just be a repository of truth, but perhaps a hiding place of fear that she had never admitted before. Taidy, I didn't stick it on. Molly, or did you write? Molly, until you forgot what you were writing it for. The area in front of the school wasn't as quiet as usual. The voices of the adults competed with each other. Everyone wanted to protect the children, but no one was sure what exactly were they trying to protect. One adult, prevention is better than cure. Another adult, but who are we protecting? The new rule was announced in a polite tone, but firm enough to change the atmosphere. Some children were confused, some were frightened. As for the adults, they felt safer, although they didn't yet know what they were safe from. Teacher Arun. From today onwards, Teacher Arun, no more staying in the library after school. Uncle Pan lowered his head, putting the library key into his pocket. He wasn't angry, he wasn't arguing. Silent, as always, but this time the silence hurt more. Taidy began to understand that sometimes rules aren't meant to be just, but to make fear feel right. Taidy muttering, "Uncle Pan didn't do anything." Taidy, then why does he have to suffer like this? That evening, Taidy didn't come home as usual. She followed silently, her heart pounding. Not because she wanted to catch him red-handed, but because she wanted to know the truth, just once. Where is Uncle going? Why does he come home so late every day? In a small, warmly lit room, nothing is mysterious. Just glue, paper, and determination. Wrinkled hands carefully cradle each book one by one, as if mending something fragile. "What are you doing, Uncle?" "Just repairing some books." The words weren't long, but they were heavy enough to bring tears to Taidy's eyes. The blue notebook in her hand felt heavier than ever, because it was filled with judgments that never waited for the truth. And in that silence, the girl's heart began to understand that some people do good deeds without anyone suspecting them. Prepare this for children who have nothing, so they can have their own world. The classroom, usually filled with noise, was quieter than usual that day. A little girl stood up, her heart pounding, not because she was afraid of being scolded, but because she was afraid of not telling herself the truth. "Teacher, may I say something? I think being suspicious of others makes you feel safe. But I've never been careful with my own heart." Those words aren't pretty, not clever, but they're true, and some truths just require courage, not excuses. The classroom remained quiet, but it wasn't as awkward as before. Teacher Arun nodded, not because the rule was wrong, but because she understood that sometimes adults need to learn from the sincerity of children. Taking care of myself doesn't require hurting anyone. I'll abolish that rule. The library fell silent again, but it was a warm silence. Taidy sat at the same table, the same blue notebook. Her heart was unhurried, fearless, ready to listen rather than judge. Taidy murmurs, "Maybe. Taidy, there's no need to rush writing." She gently tore open the last page, written in a single sentence. Not a command, not a rule, but a reminder. A word of caution, one she wanted to start with herself. "Taidy, don't be suspicious of others, Taidy, more than being cautious of yourself." Taidy placed the notebook on the shelf. Then she walked away without looking back. The sound of children's laughter replaced the silence. The question lingered in the air. Can we coexist? With gentle caution, not with fear. A child in the distance. "This book is so nice." Taidy, softly. "I hope it helps." Fear narrows our perspective, but self-knowledge broadens our hearts. The world doesn't need more suspicious people, but more responsible people for their own thoughts and hearts.